I'm ready for, I know.
Yeah, your minute takers, just talking about, just live.
This Facilities and Technology Committee, Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Roll call, Mr. Putnam, Mr. Wilson, Ellen, Dean, Marissa,
The teacher representative.
teacher representative, we're still acknowledge you.
Okay.
Patrick, Mr. Scott. Everybody here. So, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the agenda, we'll start with that.
So
With the caveat that when the solar guy shows up, we're going to squeeze him in where he fits.
Because he's letting traffic out. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, now we'll have approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public participation, is there anyone on the line? There is not, so we'll skip step 5 and jump right into number 6, discussion next steps. Number 1 was the solar proposal presentation, but we'll postpone that until the gentleman arrives and has time to prepare. So we'll start with number 2, committee meeting locations.
Okay, so I guess I'll take it from there. We just wanted to get clarification and just propose that we have this meeting here along with budget, that we have it at new conference instead of kind of following suit with the other meetings in place.
Yeah, I don't know, when did that change as far as facilities and budget following sick?
So, last week in this room, we talked about they wanted to move the school improvement policy meetings to the school that was related to what they were talking about, correct? That was going to make a change to Bailey Road to intermediate school, middle school, high school.
Yeah.
Generally, our meetings have followed whatever their location is.
No, we always went to the same place.
We followed meeting wherever they were going.
No, last year we were always at central office, we never went to any other schools for facilities and budget. All our meetings, stand me if I'm correct, I could be.
Maybe last year changed, we used to do
I
it.
think you're right.
Yeah.
Either way, it didn't matter. I think the idea was you either go with them or you go to wherever the full board meeting was, one or the other. You don't want to make a third building in the mix.
Right,
So he's asking if we could keep all the meetings at Torrington High School.
yes.
Well, the minutes.
Middle school side of the complex,
So
middle school cafeteria.
it's a 35-foot deviation, extra was.
That's what
Record purposes.
I guess we'll start with the motion. I guess the motion will be, we're going to move all our meetings to one location, being the Torrington Middle School cafeteria. I guess we can open that up for discussion at this point.
The only case they made last week about it was from a facility standpoint, you put people in the facilities that way. So if you had something we were talking about, there was a facility or something you wanted to show to where that was the mentality that came up in the meeting. So I'm not sure if that applies here or not.
Ellen?
But if anything comes up at that meeting, they can always bring it to facilities for the next week. If there's anything facilities related that comes up for the second policy, it can say we'll forward it to the facilities and forward the budget, and that will be the next weekend. So.
You can bring it up.
Yeah, and the other point of that was, as a facilities committee, talking about the facilities, if you had thought you wanted to be in the buildings rather than always in the same place. But that was the thought between them, so there's the explanation that occurred as it occurred.
All right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Middle school. I haven't met the middle school, just for facilities reasons also, in one location.
Because you're there and you don't have to travel?
Yeah, it's set up, the place is built for it, and, it's a code to all these different schools.
You have to set up that school a second time the following
Helps
week.
with tech,
Right, yeah.
helps with tech, historical and staff, and just everything to go along with the meeting. besides the actual meeting itself. So,
Okay.
I would want.
Alright, so I guess we'll go. Who's in favor for keeping the meetings at one location? Show of hands, I guess.
Sure. I'm indifferent to this.
Who's opposed? Is anybody opposed? No one's opposed, so we'll pass the motion that the meetings stay in one location at the Torrington Middle School campus. Alright.
Can I just for clarification,
Sure.
because the next meeting would be budget, so that would be for both meetings, I'm assuming, since they do.
Oh, good point, yeah, good point, Alan,
I
maybe
think
that's
that's what I want to make sure Ellen is okay with that as the chair of that subcommittee.
I guess we excluded you in that discussion.
I got you. Yeah, one more.
I don't see how it would matter for budget. The only applicable change would have been for facility, if you want it to be in the facilities.
Yeah, the budget would, I like it in one place myself.
Okay. So I guess we'll amend the motion, that the motion is going to include facilities in budget to be held in one single location at the Torrington Middle School cafeteria. So I'd like to put a motion on the table for that, that's amended.
I don't think you can
You can't.
speak for budget, you can only speak for facilities.
Yes. We'll move yours with the understanding, the same thing will come up in the next meeting.
Right.
Yeah, you can't move the budget. But by you moving, they have to move.
The chair is on this.
Yeah, but, yeah.
You've gone first. You're the first mover.
All right, potato, potato, you can deal with that in this next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Project updates.
Okay, so, because of the other, issues here, I did not share all the project updates with you guys this year, but we are moving forward with many of them. I do have a list of stuff that we're working on right here, if you'd like to see it. So, this is stuff as of this past week, excluding a few other things that aren't on here. So I didn't include it. What is not on here is, just the day-to-day activity that we're working on. And you'll see some of the stuff on here that we might not get a good explanation of. But the big things coming up, if I can go over those, are our TTA moving into getting that room ready at Fast Academy for our TTA to move over there. We also have the move out of Midgeon Avenue now, and everything's around there in the archive to deal with over there, so we're going to be we're over there this week with HR, and we'll be finishing up with HR. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them moved just because of certain things, but that's going to be our biggest, goal, is to get TTA moved in there and to get everything out of Midgeon Avenue.
You're still hoping for sometime before the end of the year for that to be totally turned?
Totally. I need to know what totally is too. I gotta talk to Jamie, my counterpart. What is he, this place down to bare walls, you know what I mean? I don't know what you're doing with the building. But there's a ton of stuff everywhere. So, we're going through the process now of taking things that we need to move them into archive, which is gonna go to Fast Academy. That's gonna be archive location. Everything else that could be disposed of, what needs to be shredded, what doesn't need to be shredded. And then, of course, we have still a lot of furniture and things of that nature that we also have to move to, to our surplus, how we get rid of it, when we get rid of it, whether it's, another 501c or somebody coming in to take it, or if we have to dispose of it. So there's a lot. So when you say completely out, I'm hoping that the city allows us not to leave the place to be completely vacant.
I guess I'm thinking when we can turn it over and stop paying, your guys having to worry about maintaining it.
Yeah.
You have to turn it over in working order.
Yeah, so I talked to Jamie about that, and we talked about it, we didn't get into writing, so fuel, the sprinkler system, the maintenance and all this, I've been talking to him as far as when, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but he has a certain date, he expects to take that part over.
Okay.
So, and forgive me, I forgot what it was, whatever date boss we gave him as far as, what are we talking about? Thanksgiving? No. The week after Thanksgiving, so. That is our,
Transition camp.
yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on the list that we have in front of you?
Yeah, this jumps out at me, flag lights at THS.
What?
Flag
Oh,
lights.
no, not that, yeah, out in the sports field, on our scoreboard, there's one of the LEDs that's out, so our American flag is lit, but the one that next to it is not lit, and we have to replace it. We're probably gonna replace both of them, because those LEDs are pretty much throwaways. If one goes, the other one's gonna go. That's what that is.
Do we have any indication on, or is there another column maybe that shows if it's a short-term or a long-term project? Some of these things I know are out there things, and some of
Yeah,
these
so-
things are on your radar for, so it might be helpful to see what's a short-term, what's a long-term goal. Some of these things I know you don't have the money to do. Basically.
Yeah, and a few things aren't on here, right? I don't think the THS chiller's on here. Because
THS or the Torrington?
Sorry about Torrington chiller's not on here. Again, capital, I should have gotten the number today, but I didn't get the number today from a contractor. We have two numbers on that. Hopefully, we're gonna go with the DAS approved contractor on that, but that's gonna be something that's not on here. It's a big nugget. We have money in our capital reserve that we have to ask them to move it from our capital reserve over to take care of anything in the capital plan. So, yes, there's that. There's maybe one thing on here that could be qualified as capital, like a big thing like you're talking about.
You have your capital sheet that shows us how you're spending your capital.
Yes.
I'm just thinking short and long-term things on here might be helpful, even for your team.
Well, this particular thing is this long. I just did most of it just to give you an idea tonight, but most of it is on there on the should have, must have, and nice to have list, which will be long term also.
Great.
Any questions there? Is that the sole agenda?
That is, yes.
So we'll pause this agenda and go back to item number 1. Are you ready to present?
I am.
Okay.
Yep,
The floor is yours.
thanks. Where do you like folks normally sit when they're presenting?
Wherever you'd like.
Okay, that's just. All right. Nice to meet everybody. My name's Adam Teff. I manage Titan Energy. We're the CCM Renewable Energy Program Manager. So basically every town in the state is a member of CCM, and CCM offers services to towns to help facilitate projects. Energy is a really big and popular part of that program. Our mandate is to help CCM members run RFPs for solar projects. So we'll go through tonight and talk about the process, but just wanted to give you a little bit of back history on who we are, who I am, and the relationship that we have with CCM, which really drives most of the municipal work that we do. I've been with the company for about 15 years, worked with somewhere between 30 and 40 Connecticut municipalities to do this kind of work. So, solar, I know the town doesn't have any solar on rooftops, but it's, become, over the last 10 years, very, very commonplace. There's very strict protocols on how it's done, and, especially with a new building, obviously we want to be very sensitive to that. Work with you guys hand in hand to make sure anything that would be installed on the roof is done, in accordance with roof warranty, etc. So we did look at all the schools, by the way. This presentation is focused on the new high and middle school. But the situation that we ran into is that none of the roofs are really suitable for solar, primarily due to age, and then just some of the way the buildings are built, right? They aren't built with solar in mind. The parking lots are not incredibly big either, so parking canopies, which is something else that we typically look at for schools, just really wasn't applicable here. So it really narrowed down our focus to the new school. And I don't know, you gonna click for me? Okay, cool, thanks. So obviously I'm not gonna read this to you word for word. I'll give you the summary. This is really just, provided to make sure everyone has context for what we did. So, we put out the RFP. We had 3 developers that came to the site walk. We ended up getting 2 bids. One of the bidders was really looking to place battery storage with solar. Wasn't really a great fit for battery storage at this site, so they declined to bid. But Davis Hill and Green Skies are both top tier solar developers located here in the state. They've got municipal experience. Green Skies, I think, by far has the most municipal experience. I think, according to their literature, and this bears out with my experience, their systems are on approximately 30% of Connecticut schools. So this is kind of a core market for them. And they are based in North Haven, so it always gives me a little bit more comfort that from a maintenance perspective, people who are doing the work are local. How the project would work, but I think some of the key takeaways are the idea here is to have the asset be completely owned, operated, and maintained by the installing company. So it's zero out of pocket for the school district. The arrangement that you'd enter into is a power purchase agreement, PPA. Basically, that's kind of like the name implies, you buy the power from the system at a fixed price for a 20-year period. It's kind of like the relationship you have with Eversource, in which you don't own the poles and wires and their infrastructure, you're simply buying power. The key difference is that power from solar arrays is significantly cheaper than the electricity you get from Eversource. So year one savings for this location is about $45,000. Extrapolate that out over 20 years, it's about 1.2 million. The reason that's, for those of you who are math whizzes, the reason it's not just a 45,000 times 20 math problem is because you're losing some production from the array every year. But we also factor in a very, very mild escalation rate from Eversource, 1.5% per year. The reality is it's usually significantly higher than that, as I'm sure you guys have seen over the last couple of years. But when we extrapolate out these models, I just want to make the variables clear that we're using, so you're not scratching your head wondering if my calculator's broken. In with the power purchase concept, this is a behind the meter asset. So basically, power's fed back into the building. I haven't seen all of the drawings yet, all the as-built, but I have seen some. And this building was clearly designed with solar in mind. It's got a conduit already laid for solar. So, basically every new school in Connecticut now gets built basically solar ready. The NRES program, Non-Residential Renewable Energy Solutions, that's the incentive program that helps support these efforts. That's a local state program. They have a specific carve out for public schools, so there's a really nice availability for that incentive. The state wants to see these projects built for reasons you see here. They just help reduce managed costs. And then there's the sustainability aspect too, which I think you could make an argument is a good representation for how to educate folks in STEM and things like that. But the reason that the agreements are 20 years is twofold, really, or maybe three. Twofold insofar as the incentive, so that's paid out on a 20-year basis to the owner of the asset, so they want the agreement to line up with that. Also, kind of bare minimum useful life on the equipment's 20 years, so they want to try to make sure that they're getting the maximum, for everybody's sake, get the maximum use from that array. And also that's generally when you'll be ready for a re-roof at that point. So the building is effectively brand new. So you'll probably get longer than 20 years out of it. But obviously, kind of hard to say. You have to play that as time goes by. But that's the rationale. And being able to, I think, for the value for a district is, yes, you get the immediate savings, and that's helpful. But also, for your finance folks, I know this is a facilities committee, so maybe finance and facilities kind of go hand in hand. Keeping your costs controlled as much as possible. We can't address all of the energy consumption at this site. The building is just too big, and it's built, like a layered cake instead of a big flat, like 1950 style of the school where you have one story and a huge roof. You have 3 floors here. So we only have so much roof to play with, but we can address a pretty decent amount of it. The other thing I just want to touch on, I know we talked about the Connecticut incentives, that help subsidize this. The other aspect of this whole thing too, just timing wise, which is important to remember, is that the investment tax credit is talks about the local incentives. So on the federal side, there's investment tax credit for solar that was put on the books under the Inflation Reduction Act from approximately 4 or 5 years ago. Over the summer, the Big Beautiful Bill basically kind of took a hatchet to that. So we still have time to be able to capture the full investment tax credit, but if we were having this conversation, say like a year from now, it would miss its deadlines, in which case the economics would look significantly different. So you have basically a golden opportunity still for the federal government to pick up 30% of the tab of this project, which just helps drive down the power purchase agreement rate that you pay for the power. So our timing is good. You can flip to the next. So again, just running through kind of a bid tabulation here. You'll see the bidders, Green Skies, Davis Hill, and Scale. They're all basically offering the same concept power purchase agreement, which we touched on. In our analysis, the Davis Hill design was a bit aggressive and would ultimately need to be scaled down. I think just some of their placement of the panels would likely infringe on the walkability of the roof and access to the equipment. So Green Skies, we didn't flag anything with their submission. The one area that was a little bit unclear, and I think generally we probably just want to stay away from, is that sort of slanted circular portion of the building. From a production perspective, it's facing the wrong direction, so you don't really get much from that. So that alone really would be enough. But the idea here would be to have a ballasted system. So the racking is basically just, if you think about like a tray with a cinder block as opposed to like mechanically attaching to the roof. And that's just something that I want to verify with the as-built to see. But like I said, every school that's built now is built solar ready, and part of that is having enough structural capacity on the roof to be able to support the weight. But again, that section, so the smaller system, both developers gave me a design with and without that one section in particular included. I would forego it and just focus on the smaller option, which it actually produces more economic value. Reason for that being the racking that you would need for that kind of roof is pretty expensive, so that drives up cost. And also if you include more panels but don't get good production from them, all you're really doing is just adding cost to a project, and that has to get paid for somehow. So the smaller project actually has the lower PPA rate and the better savings. So I think that's what I would focus on personally. Again, this is, the school is still kind of ramping up. Kids are moving in. So the utility bills that we saw are, indicative of, I think, basically the high school portion being fully utilized, right? So middle school portion for this year, we'll see, more usage come around. So by my estimate, that's about 40%, energy, kilowatt hour production from the schools that we can pick up. Let me pause there. Does anybody have any questions so far? Sure.
So these arrays, they're all going to be rooftop?
Yeah, on the roof.
So there aren't going to be any ground or garage?
I didn't see, so I know that there's some, you have the footprint where the old building was, et cetera, but my sense was that was either going to be fields or parking lot or something, right? Something that'll be spoken for. I mean, it's, and I imagine this is why you guys built up instead of out. It's kind of space constrained, right, at that site. So, and we didn't really have great drawings of the parking area, so I didn't request any designs for covered parking. If at some point that was something that the district wanted to look at, we could certainly, try to expand on this, but it wasn't included in the scope of the
It's all
RFP.
going to be rooftop.
I've got several questions if I could. First, at the end of 20 years, is it a second piece if the panels are still producing beyond their minimum life? Same type of thing as other commercial property, you get to buy it outright and own it, or they extend an additional PPA to you, or they remove the panels? How was this agreement written?
Yeah, so the Green Skies template, and this is pretty industry standard across the board at this point, so there's there's 3 avenues at the end of the 20 years. One of them being the installer takes the equipment back at their cost, restores the site, obviously 20 years of wear and tear kind of expected, right? But restoring the site to suitable condition where you could then have another 5 or 10 years of good, useful roof life there. So that's if you didn't want to continue at all and just want it out free and clear. Option 2 would be either a 3 or 5 year extension. So again, to your point, if there's good, useful life left in the equipment and your roof still has another 5 years, or third, fair market value buyout. Again, I would rank those as, likely option 1, 2, 3 in order of what I would assume we probably do at the end of that term. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to how, what kind of condition the roof's in. Something kind of interesting that doesn't really come up and I think it's just worth mentioning too is that the panels actually act as sunscreen for the roof in a way, right? I mean,
UV protectors.
they're taking the beating that the roof would normally get. So again, having been doing this for 15 years, even the first systems that, we've worked on still have another, 5, 6 years left. But, the sense that I get is that at the end of that term, 3 to 5 years is probably a reasonable extension. If you want to tailor it specifically to when you're going to re-roof, like if you have a re-roof plan, I'm sure, an installer would be flexible to write that for a 4-year or a 2-year, whatever the case might be.
Speaking of the roof, most of these usually have a remove and replace clause. Do we have any idea if that's in there in the contract pre-priced, or is it on us to remove and replace? That most solar folks don't want somebody who's moving their panels.
Oh, that would be
for some reason we
yeah.
had to do something to the roof. Is that included, or is there a spelled out fee for it?
Yeah, so generally the way that works in the Green Skies agreement is that, you have allowances per year. So if you have to, move panels to fix a leak or do whatever the case might be, that, there's certain allowed times, a certain allowance, and it compounds. So if you don't use it,
They roll over.
yeah, so that's still there. And then also the idea here too is just, per code, all of the equipment on that roof has to have adequate space around it for folks to service at the rooftop equipment. So it wouldn't be good practice anyway, but it wouldn't even be possible from a permitting perspective to be too close to equipment for folks doing maintenance and things like that. And I think the good thing too, and part of the reason why I don't love to put solar on a quote unquote brand new roof is I think it's usually good practice to get 6 to 12 months under your belt with the roof as is before you would add another variable. Heaven forbid there's a leak situation or something, and if the solar goes on basically right after the roof, I think you get into a finger pointing match between the solar developer and the roofer. It's like, oh, who's at fault? It's like you can't really tell. And with a roof, if there's a leak, you're going to find it in the first 6 to 12 months and take care of it. So I think from a timing perspective, that's advantageous too, that, we're not trying to just, put solar on a roof that is just put on a roof.
Next one's a finance question.
Sure.
The cost per kilowatt hour is just the kilowatt hour cost. In a commercial building, one of your largest expenses is demand charge. Solar should reduce our demand, but I don't see that calculated anywhere. Are you hanging the meters on our side of the solar input, the inverters on our side of the meter? So we would be having an avoided demand charge here. Have you calculated that into these savings calculations in any way?
So yes and no, and the no on purpose. So the number that you see here, and I kind of struggle with this sometimes about breaking out this calculation and trying to explain it to a large audience, because some folks really want to dive into the technical details of how a utility bill works, and some are just like, so the most conservative way, and this is different from residential too, I'll just preface that because sometimes I get people who have solar on their roofs at home.
There's no demand charge at all.
Yeah, and say, well, so, why isn't your addressable rate 25 cents or 30 cents per kilowatt hour? Because that's what mine is at my house. There are no demand charges. Everything's volumetric kilowatt hour. So with a commercial, and your rate 56 here, the most conservative thing you can do is take all the demand charges out and just focus on the kilowatt hour volumetric charges. So if you create 1 kilowatt hour solar, you'll deduct 1 kilowatt hour from your bill on the supply side, and a very small portion of the T&D charges, which are also kilowatt hours. all the KW demand charges. My position on that is if you capture demand savings, great. That's additional upside, but I don't want to factor that into the savings because it's unpredictable. And you'll get more of it in the summer and less of it in the winter. And also with the way commercial rate classes like 56 goes, you have a monthly demand charge that you can influence, and then you have one that's set once per year. So it's a stretch in my mind to say, all right, you know, we think you'll hit that, you might not. So for safety's sake, I leave it out.
So there's zero demand, or how about, you know, there's a delivery charge still at AT&T. So you have no savings based on those two variables baked into this cost.
Correct.
So for the rest of the group, this is really your minimum savings, assuming it meets this. Do we have any kind of power generation guarantee? So like a lot of these.
Yeah, so 80% of its rated output is guaranteed if they fail.
Every year,
If there's
if
a
they
true
fail, if they fail, what, they credit us back or something?
Exactly, yeah, so basically whatever the lost production is that you expected to get, credited back. 80%, so it's not, you know.
So if it was, you know, I think in this case here, it was 100 megawatts, something like that.
So this array is about 650 kW.
Oh, I'm not looking at it. You're not looking at, you're talking the top one, right? So
Yeah, so annual production would be about, you know, 813,000 kilowatt hours.
So 813 megawatts.
Yeah,
Basically,
megawatt hours, yeah.
You would have, if you hit 80%, anything under 80% of that, you're going to allow us to submit for a credit at the 11 or 8 point, whatever is 8 change cents per kilowatt, anything underneath.
If they missed it on an annual basis, so
Right.
it's not monthly.
It's not, you know, it's an
Yeah.
overall annual, they always are.
Yep,
Okay, and that's already written in.
yep.
Awesome.
Should I keep going? Anybody else? Questions? Okay. I think we covered everything on this slide. Again, the methodology here is just to break down system size, obviously the bidder, system size, and we talked about discrepancies as to, you know, individually bidders gave option A, B, with and without that circular part. I don't know, is that cafeteria or theater?
It's the theater.
Theater, yeah, theater. But then, yeah, more generally, Davis Hill being a little bit heavy-handed on their design. But the overall best value for the district would be, in my opinion, would be the smaller of the two green skies arrays. You can flip the one. So this is just meant to break out, like on a 20-year basis, how that math worked, just so you have a sense of kind of, you know, what the methodology is. And you'll see it's pretty simple stuff once you get your arms wrapped around it. So years 1 through 20, solar kilowatt hour production, you're losing about 0.5% per year, hence why that number drops. Your baseline, you know, year one addressable Eversource cost, 1.5% escalator applied to that number per year. The solar PPA rate, so the rate at which you buy power, that's fixed, 20 years. And the savings is just, you know, fairly simple math problem of Eversource minus your solar cost multiplied by however many kilowatt hours you get. So this is the Green Skies design, smaller system. Again, some of this, you know, I think tighten up around the edges a little bit with a little bit more information from the as-built, but we did have the site visit. Everybody was up on the roof. I was up on the roof too. And again, accounting for just measuring, you know, the rooftop equipment that you have, which is big, it's tall, you know, all the stuff's up there. And again, pending any major discovery from the as-built, that's, you know, different than what we all observed. I think this is a realistic estimate of, you know, the system size. Next. And again, just same thing, but you can see, you know, panels on that side, but wouldn't recommend doing it that way. And just for reference sake, Davis Hills, they did the same thing. Okay, look. So as far as suggested next steps, if pending, of course, any additional, approvals from various boards and stakeholders and things like that, if you did decide that this was a project that you want to take some next steps with, the process for getting into the NRES program requires that the developer take a few steps. One of those would require them to have the power purchase agreement executed by the district. They can't apply into NRES until the developer and the site owner come to that agreement. So that's step one. I have that pinned as, a task that could perhaps occur by the end of this year. The NRES program for schools starts accepting applications for 2026 on February 1st. In between that, we would then, work on some of the additional engineering for the project, file an interconnection application with Eversource, with the goal being a summer 2026 install. If for some reason that couldn't happen, there's different things you could do, right? I mean, solar gets installed on roofs all the time during the school year, but I know folks generally don't want to do that. If it did get pushed to summer 2027, there may be just, some carrying costs and things that Green Skies might have to factor in, which would influence the PPA rate a bit, but this was bid out with the expectation or the instruction that bidders would assume a summer 26 install. So if you wanted to make that happen, this is generally the timeline that you'd want to follow to do that. In my experience, the biggest variable that we can control is generally just reviewing the contract and getting it approved. Every town, has kind of a different process for that they need to follow. I always encourage, have an attorney involved with that to review the agreement. And then whatever municipal approvals would be required. But between now and the end of the year, I generally, based on my experience, that can all usually happen in that time frame if you're motivated.
Is there anything in here that forfeits that if you don't meet a certain timeline? I know that's just estimated, but is there anything
The first one.
besides January 1st
Well,
of this year that would forfeit any of this?
I don't know if I'd use the word forfeit. I would say if you want a comfortable sort of glide path into a summer 26 install,
Yeah.
this would be the schedule I'd recommend. If things got a little bit, condensed, or if they dragged into the start of the year, that's okay too. Or if a summer 27 install is just better for the district, then that's certainly doable too. Green Skies, for their part, would have to start spending some of the project cost, some money towards the project to be able to lock in their investment tax credit with the federal government. That's, to me, the most important thing, because if you lose the ITC, the investment tax credit, the economics totally change. So the gating issue for them to do that is power purchase agreement signature. That signals to them, hey, barring some unforeseen event, like whatever it might be.
Taking the building.
Yeah, some crazy thing. That okay, they've got that power contract and they can start investing in the project. Whether it's summer 26 or 7, would be an open question. I think that generally the thing about installing solar is that if it does occur during the year, there are ways that you can mitigate, how you interface with the developer and the kids and stuff, so that either work is what I would consider like disruptive work is done like off hours or weekends and things like that. A lot of the work is actually pretty quiet. Installing the racking is usually the thing where you hear like boots on the roof and stuff like that, where most schools are okay, we would rather not have that happen during 9 to 2 on a school day. And that's solar developers, especially Green Skies, they're well versed at being able to work with that. You would generally want to avoid starting construction in like December, just for weather-related reasons. your production's pretty low during that time anyway, so it's, you know.
But the people that bid on this, they're gonna hold that number, let's just say we put it off to summer of 27. That number's good until then.
The number's locked in as you sign the power purchase agreement.
Yep.
The bidders have, you know, I give a 90-day window, like your bid is good for 90 days, you know, like when you submit, so you're not like, okay, 3 weeks later, they raise their hand and say, sorry, no change. But absent that, I mean, your commitment to the project with the power purchase agreement, that's the thing that allows them to start buying equipment, hiring third-party engineers, all that good stuff that locks in the project cost and gives them the certainty to do that. So.
But there will be a cost increase, slight, if you hold till 2027.
Yeah, if you hold to 2027 and.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, but it would be reasonable. I mean, part of my job is to make sure that that was reasonable,
Yeah,
right?
reasonable, but not what you see on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if there was something built in there, was it a percentage per 6 months, per year, is there anything that was in there that locks us in for a certain amount of time?
No.
Or else you lose that, because that'll affect the bottom line, obviously, increased cost of labor and or material, if.
Yeah, this is all priced with the instruction that it would be built in 26. If it's not, I would say work out a reasonable, I mean, you wouldn't see that an 8.5 cent PPA go to 12, just like that. It would be, you know, basically like kind of cost of money stuff, just to sort of carry the project for an extra year if it came down to it. But
The last question I had for the night was, promise.
no, go for it. It's right here.
So that second option with the additional, it's a bigger system, it's like a 20% bigger system, will help us avoid demand, will help us avoid some of those demand charges, for sure, because it's got an additional output. The question would be how.
It's facing the wrong way, though. It's
Well,
facing north, so it's you don't get great production from
You
it.
don't get great production, but it will help offset some of those
Yeah.
non-factored in savings. That being said, as you pointed out, it barely makes sense financially at the quick look. Are these their final prices, or if we look at that second option, say we want to put a bigger system in, is there a little bit of room for, you know, getting somewhere closer to the other one?
I can always try. The position that most bidders take on it, especially municipal bids, is very, very sharp. They want to win, but I can always ask, and there's no harm in
I
asking.
think that bigger system has some additional benefits to us that it's harder to pass through the committee. When you, to your point, you look at it and go, the savings aren't really here and justified based on the limited showing of, you know, the variables, right? Show them because they can be confusing, and they just create 35 extra questions that at the end of the day don't matter to most people. Obviously, the board's, the group here's ability to ask that question. I would ask the question, how much closer can they get in the second one? Because there are savings that we're going to get here that aren't on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
By having the bigger system.
I will most certainly, I'll say, hey, you know, give me best and final. And make sure that the thrust of the question is, or the request is, get the bigger systems number closer.
Is anybody else here? I'm just one person. Anybody else here against that thought on the committee or no?
Worst they can say is no, right? I mean, it's,
Well, right, but if nobody else has the desire to go that route,
No,
it's in the wrong direction.
It's worth checking, and see what they can do with it.
Yeah, that would be, and I also think that would help encourage the expediency of the decision and making sure this goes into 26 to avoid all of the other pieces. I know they have to have a significant financial investment in this to qualify for the IRA credit there from the government, 30% or 27%, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's motivated to move quickly. It's just easier to get it through all the signing parties if we have a good reason for it.
yeah. And if you were to ask me, and maybe, I don't know if you factor in reasonable demand reduction, like not going wild,
Yeah.
not assuming you know, basically take the winter and just
It's lost about
Throw it
40%
aside.
of the savings.
and you focus on April through, let's call it October. During those periods, you'll probably knock another 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour off your costs.
Yeah, that's a big number. Right?
Yeah, which is probably takes your savings from 45 up to like 60 during those peaks, because that's when your peak production is too. So I just don't want to be the guy who tells you it's going to be 60 when a year after it's installed, it's 48, and I'm like, well, I was, you know.
Look, as the cost gets closer to the original, if we can get it closer to option one, cost per kilowatt hour, we avoid some of that risk ourselves, right? By saying, you picked the wrong one. I understand your point, but there is a demand charge to be offset here. School uses a lot of power. I'm surprised there's no battery storage included to help offset that, because the battery storage is the most effective, even at the commercial level of offsetting demand charge. But if the people who do all the numbers, who know way more than I do about this, decided it wasn't worth it, I respect that.
I can tell you why. So the amount, basically the way that the battery interfaces with the power grid, there's got to be what's called hosting capacity, like sufficient hosting capacity on the grid to be for a battery to discharge, not just, you know, kind of on your site. And the program, the incentive program in Connecticut is written to encourage, it's kind of interesting. It's, if you really dig down into the rationale, it's meant to encourage more grid side than customer side. So the way that a battery developer would approach it is to say, I want to put the biggest battery that I can here, and the building will get some, but I'm going to be pushing a lot of power back to the grid.
Yeah, they want to stabilize the grid and get their payment from it.
Yeah, and the problem is, with this particular instance, is that, as I'm sure you guys are aware, there's been a lot of solar development in this area, a lot of big, you know, multi-megawatt projects that have connected to the grid. They've eaten up that capacity. So a battery developer looks at that and says, oh gosh, there's no way to put this battery here without Eversource saying, hey, yeah, it's gonna be $1 million to connect it. So that's the prohibitive thing. You know, these days I always look, you know, battery solar, if it's doable. It's always very site specific, and unfortunately the hosting capacity here is, you know, think of it kind of like a highway, if like the grid power lines are like a highway and, you know, electrons are the cars. If you look at this part of the grid, it's like there's a lot of traffic. So the only way to add more cars would be like to add another lane and another on-ramp to the grid, and like the Eversource makes the developer pay for that. So it swamps project costs more quickly. Yeah. I think all I included in here, other than this, was just a little blurb about green skies, and just, you know, do with this as you will. You can flip to the next one. Yeah, so I mean, Green Skies is, I've worked with them on a number of occasions in Connecticut and elsewhere. They're a legitimate, established, well-funded solar company that's got great municipal experience. So I have no qualms whatsoever recommending them. Feel free to do, you know, your own homework, of course, on the company. If references are helpful, you can obviously get those for everybody, but just want to make sure that you guys know that, you know, it's important to us that, you know, the developers that respond to these projects are qualified to do that. You can go to the next one, yes, and then a little bit on Titan, and that's it. So that's the presentation. Any other questions? As we didn't cover?
I just got maybe some silly questions here, but.
Go for it.
Our estimated savings is gonna be between $45,000 and $60,000 a year.
I'll say 45.
He'll say pretty well, says
45, so 45 times 20 is never gonna reach 1.2.
Yes, we're.
The escalator, so it's gonna be 45 to down, it's gonna go down as they lose.
No, it goes up, because the production of the panels comes down no more than 2% a year, is that?
A 0.5%.
0.5% a year is the average, but your cost escalator on the Eversource side, so you're an 8.5 cent per kilowatt fixed cost over 20 years. They've included a 1.5% price hike on the Eversource side, so even though your production goes down 0.5%, your savings goes up more because of the difference in the
Okay,
offset
so
cost.
also, whatever, let's use a round number of $60,000 a year. Well, what's our number for electricity now? I think we budgeted like around $1 million.
Well, for across all buildings, yes.
Across all buildings, so we have a big bill, so this is gonna save us $60,000 off our big bill. So it's 0.06% of our overall budget. I like to think about risk. You can put that solar array up there and something does happen to our roof, I'm sure people are gonna be insured. Well, we got a brand new roof with I believe that school came with a 20-year warranty. I would hate to screw up our new roof again. managed roof. Is that worth our $60,000 or 0.06% of our electricity budget for the year?
What was the total spend?
No, 6%.
6%.
6%, not 0.6%.
0.06.
Well,
That's a
6%.
0.06%. 6%.
I mean, I'll leave it to you guys as to how you want to, what measuring stick you want to use. That's kind of why I like to put that slide up, because it's like, well, what does $60,000 translate to in meals for kids or Chromebooks or textbooks or whatever? I mean, there's lots of different ways to do
I
that.
don't want you to derail my question right now.
No, and I'm going to get to it, so yeah, I'll answer.
How many square feet of panels are there?
How many square feet?
Yeah.
Panels? I don't know.
I look at it as you're
Yeah,
leasing our roof and it's per square foot.
I don't know offhand what the square footage is. I mean, you can see from the picture, it's pretty well,
It's
pretty
quite
well
a bit.
utilized.
Just the number, and then I want to say, all right, we have $60,000 a year, and how many square feet, what's that per square foot that you're basically leasing our roof for? That's the way
How much is your roof earning you now? I guess would be the other question.
I don't want to put that any downer, but $60,000 is worth the risk for one school, I don't know.
Well, what's the roof pay you now?
Nothing. What's the risk? There's all the risk.
Yeah.
To me, there's risk in it.
Sure. I mean, there's risk in getting out of bed in the morning, not to be cute about it. I'm just, it's, so from the warranty side, there's a pre and manufacturer. That's, robust pre-post install checklist. Again, this would be a ballasted system, right? So where there's no roof penetrations or anything like that. And that's really your pre and post check on what's gone up there. Does the roof installer and the manufacturer have to sign off on that? And if they can't meet that, then, it's up to the developer to do whatever they have to do dollar-wise to be able to comply and keep the warranty in place. So I think of, what are the actual risks? I mean, if you have to move equipment, right, like, because you need to access something, you have an allowance in there. You have multiple sets of eyes on the install and making sure that, it's done in accordance with roofer specifications.
So you guys would manage, if we were to sign this agreement and lump us on a panel, you would work with, who would you work with as far as, hey, we got a 20-year warranty, it's brand new roof on this $80 million school. Who's gonna make sure that the warranty is not
manufacturer of the roof. That's what we would have to, I'm guessing that you have established that relationship, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who, if it was, it's like a Johns Manville or a Firestone.
Trumco, Mansville,
Yeah.
that particular manufacturer of the roof, I'm not sure what it is, and what the warranty is. I'd have to look into that.
I think in one of the meetings, 20 years is jumping out of my head,
Yeah.
but it might be the one we're talking about for TMS, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it
could be
could be,
confused.
so, how about the ballasted system itself? So I think, explain a little bit more detail what that is. You're saying no penetrations through this roof at all. Everything is laid on the roof, and it is held down by.
It looks like a cinder, it looks like a flat cinder block around yay high, that big. They sit in trays, panel goes on the racking is held down by that, for lack of a better word, cinder block. And then you just have the wiring down through the conduit back to the electric board.
And all of that conduit, all those penetrations are already existing in the roof.
Yeah, I got basically the roof drawings that you sent that show all the chaseways and the conduit for. I mean, again, the building was built for solar in mind. I mean, it was, and we put solar on roofs that were built 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and longer, which were not built solar.
Well, most of your installs now are ballasted.
Yeah, when the building is built
When
with
it's-
structural
when it's a new building
capacity,
like this.
yeah. Very uncommon that a school is not, especially a new one that was built with conduit and those chaseways already, that'd be floored.
Well, the conduit coming up really doesn't affect how it's being fastened to the building.
No.
So it's already there, too.
Conduit's there, so
It's already
there's savings, and we paid for that already.
They already put it in here.
We already paid for that, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you, the apprehension on, when it comes to this is a roof.
100%.
You know, so I mean, just to have a clearer vision of how this gets secured, or doesn't blow away, which is another concern.
Well, it's rated for hurricane, it's the same rating on the equipment, whether it's screwed in or weighted down. So you'd have to have 185 mile an hour plus winds here for things to blow off. And I can share with you, I can get you the spec sheets on the racking and a sample of like what that, you know, pre-post inspection checklist work looks like. I mean, it is a very, again, I was trying to remind myself and approach this, you know, the district has never done this before. You're coming at it from a much different perspective than I am, having been doing it for the last 15 years. So it's, you know, I want to make sure you get it, especially, you know, you, Dean.
Well, no, but we do have it. We have it at Forbes School.
Oh, you do?
We have panels up there. I don't know how long ago that was installed. Do you remember?
That was before my time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we had panels.
Yeah.
It's a
Some
small
face of it, and then,
Well, if you don't even know you had them, that probably means there hasn't been a problem. Be my guess. But either way, I mean, you know.
I guess my other question would be, what else could you bring to the table?
Right.
You know, cost.
Yeah, I think cost is what really.
I think option 1 and 2 from Green Skies, get them to sharpen their pencil on that cost. And I think that should be.
What cost are we talking?
The 85 kilowatt, the 0.85
Oh.
as opposed to the 0.93. So I think there's room there that they can definitely work. I think that would help them turn around the system, but obviously real savings. Would be my, Dean's question back to you.
Yeah.
I think if you went back to Green Skies and said option 1 and 2, sharpen it up, then I think the board can make an informed decision.
Is this something that we don't have to, you're saying these guys bid on the original school project? And that alternate was declined. So,
Wait. What was the question? Maybe I misunderstood what you asked.
They were not.
So when this building went up, our new building went up, and I don't know this, I'm assuming from your question, there was a number to put solar on the roof?
Armand, you're on the committee, so is that correct?
Yeah.
Is an ad alternate to
Yeah,
put solar?
we just put the conduit and the base.
To make it
so that-
solar ready,
To
so
go,
the
to make
penetration
it solar
can-
ready, and that was it, because we were advised that would be the better route to go. Because especially with building being built and also with technology changing, that maybe by the time the building was built, there might be newer, better technology,
Okay.
so.
And the cost.
Yeah, well, the cost too, but I mean, there was definitely other things that weighed on it too.
We were gonna own it in that situation.
Yeah, that would have been, right, that would have been more of a situation jumping in and, you know, having panels in our name.
Oh,
So you said you've been on the roof, so the roof can hold all these.
So I want to confirm, I need all of the structural drawings from who's ever in possession of those to confirm.
I'm sure if they made it solar ready with the penetrations, that the structural.
Yeah, it wouldn't make logical sense for a school to be built, quote unquote, solar ready and not have the structural capacity built into it to be able to support the weight. That would be very unusual. But I do need to confirm still.
Because it's a lot of panels.
Sure. I mean, the idea is to maximize the space that you've got.
Right, if it
Yeah.
can hold.
Sure, yeah, and third-party structural engineer is the deciding factor. It's not me, it's not Green Skies. It's a third party that has to stamp those drawings and say yes.
And we've got most of the drawings from OG, but
Yeah,
still some that, you know, we're trying to put this together, when he says confirming, that's what that means.
Concern is the weight.
Yeah, and I don't think you should, to be honest, I don't think you should be.
Okay.
It's all of
So this is
stuff that we've done.
Yeah, especially since the building is built up like that too.
All right, so it's.
Again, I would just be very, very surprised.
November 2015, newly activated solar panels on Ford Street. 2015, so.
Okay, 10 years.
Do you have the new plans for our new roof at the intermediate school? We're putting a new roof on the intermediate school, so I don't know which version of it.
We were up there, we looked at the
The ground?
the ground. We looked at the
Yeah.
ground ones, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, we did look at the ground as a possibility. I didn't evaluate the roof.
We have a brand new one going on with structural drawings. I think it's on this meeting tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd have to go through Gale though, because that's a roof overlay, so there's really no structural on top of the overlay that we're putting on.
No reinforcement was being done as a part of it.
No, so I really
I doubt it.
tentative about that.
Yeah, I think we looked at the ground because of some concerns about the roof, and you know that ground, I think it was a little bit of a long shot, but just in an effort to try to be thorough. Yeah, I mean,
Walking trails and back down there, there's that prairie right there, we looked at that, and then once we walked through it, it's just, we put on paper, right, but once you get there, it was kind of.
yeah, I mean, it's likely very wet and is, you know, I don't want to, I think solar is best in roofs and parking lots.
All right.
Is that, anything else is good?
No, anyone else have any other questions?
Thank
Free
you.
to go.
Okay. Dismissed.
Thanks for your time.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll,
Appreciate it.
We'll talk.
appreciate everybody's time, thanks.
Hope your drive home is better than the drive here.
You know, 44, that's just on me. I was coming from Hartford and I live in Avon. I should have known better. So. Anyway.
Some others get bad.
Yeah, thanks. I know you can't see it, slows down. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Alright. Leave off. Well, we'll stay on the topic of roofs and we'll go right into TMS roof, Dean.
Okay, so, the bids are in, you have all those in front of you, I added them to the package. Yesterday, Gale Associates, Donna and I, did some interviews for the two lower bidders on this, just to, we asked them some questions, just to get a feel for it. As you can see, all of the numbers are above where we have to be. So we are exploring other avenues with the state, and we'll have more follow-up. We're right in the middle of it right now, so there's really not much to tell you other than what you see on paper. And that's what we're looking for.
What was the number we were looking for was 4, wasn't
It was,
I forget.
you don't want me to, 5.2? Yep, so it's over, so, over cost. So that's where we stand on that.
So basically, I think Donna's trying to reach out to the state to find out what our options are as far as extending our, is it a grant?
Yes. Yep.
So extending the grant to cover the additional costs due to the delay of the project, it's took a while. Obviously, prevailing wage rates increase, material costs increase, which could account for the overage, and we basically based that upon Gale's estimate of the roof. So that's the number that was submitted. So she's got to work on how we can extend the grant for more thousands. At this point. Say 6.5, so another 1.2.
it? Are we aiming to extend for just the base bid, or are we aiming to extend for installation? Well, the state won't you do the warranty, will they?
I don't think we can, they will play with that, but the installation, we'll have to look at it, that's where we're trying to weigh it.
That does ultimately. pay.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference, I'm not sure if you're gonna have payback.
The installation, you might save 6% on your electric bill. Okay. Any other questions on TMS, or if it's in the works, she's gotta go back to the state. See if we get one. Any other questions there? Next one.
West State Mechanical has handled our HVAC maintenance, we're in a contract with them, the contract is up. You should have the paperwork in front of you. Through the changes throughout the the time that they've had this contract with us, you can see, we originally started this contract at $83,300. And because of the deduction of the e-school, they gave us a deduction last year of half of the high school. And now this year, they gave us a deduction for the remainder. I would like to extend this one more year, this particular contract for the 62,990, for a couple of reasons. Number one is our new complex is still not turned over to us warranty-wise. The scope of work for that is going to take some work to come together with a maintenance program for it. And the way they dropped their price to 62.9, and the other thing that I didn't share with you, but it isn't here, I didn't know it was on page 2, is we have a service labor agreement that this was signed in 2021 of $90 per hour and $60 per hour. That's staying the same. So that alone, we're kind of doing pretty well.
Keeping those labor?
Yep. He's keeping those labor rates and he's keeping the percentage of 1.33. So he's willing to keep all of that the same with the deduction to 62.99. So I'm asking you guys to approve extending his warranty another year.
How much do we use this for outside of the contract?
Quite a bit.
So there's fair savings.
It's pretty good savings, yeah. We've used them quite a bit. They're very, very good. He shows up for me next morning. Just call him. He's gonna be here tomorrow morning. They're very good at when it comes to service.
In this school?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Oh, we're here. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done.
Do we have his amended contract, anything in writing?
But yeah, you have anything?
It's the credits.
This is dated 2023, isn't it?
Anyone? So the proposal is if he's,
His deduction was for,
it should be, yeah, but then how about the one that says 62?
We don't have that one.
this was from Jack.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Just to keep paperwork.
I thought it was included,
No,
so that's, I jotted on here just some stuff.
Alright, so it's gonna be one fiscal, so it's really Disco's fiscal year, so his new contract started July 1, 2025,
Yeah,
and we're only going to June
Yes.
2026.
yes, but he has maintained, he has done everything that we've asked him to do up
That's
to this
the,
point. And right now, we're getting into the big service end of it, as far as our boilers and filters and things of that nature, so, but he has been maintaining it right along at that rate.
And really, we have so this would be the 4th year of his contract, where he's extended 1 year, we do have the option for 1 more year extension after this year, if we so choose.
And it's covered in the budget.
Yes, that's what.
It's accounted for in the budget, and it's all.
Yes.
That was just.
Good question.
You are saving a significant amount with the 90 and 60.
Yeah.
If he agrees with it, would you consider extending it for 2 years? If he.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay. Okay,
The same, keep the same cost
I-
for 2 years.
if I can get him to agree with it.
That'll bring him to the end of his actual contract that we have.
Okay.
Just add something in here that says fiscal year 24 to 25 and 25 to 26, so we're clear on what fiscal years this is covering.
So it's 25, 26 fiscal year and 26, 27. So FY '26, FY '27? Sure.
Just so there's a nice clean paper trail.
Yeah, we could do
We need to put a motion for that, or you just say?
If, just since we're at the meeting, if we instruct me to call in 2 years, and if that's approved, then we can approve the entry to the contract. So we sign
Yeah.
the 25 for 2 years.
It has to go to the full board.
Recommend to full board, but Dean has
Recommend to
recommended
the
2
full
years,
board.
correct?
That can do it for 2 years.
So do I have to make a motion to recommend?
No,
the
you
board?
can
Okay.
just recommend to the board unless anyone's not in agreement.
Does anybody agree to send this to the full board for the 2-year extension?
I guess you'd extend it, but you'd extend it for 1 too, obviously.
Yeah, if he doesn't agree to it.
But our preference would be the 2.
Okay.
If you're happy with this.
at the same rate.
All right, excellent.
It's a little higher, you should judge.
Okay, good, thank you for that.
All right. No, any other questions on HVAC service contracts? We want to keep moving along here because Ellen's kicking me under the table.
It's getting bruised.
Dean, you're off the hook. Rachel,
Hi,
we're gonna zip right through you, right? Social media update, very cool.
sure. So Gold Star this month goes to the high school. They had over 13,000 views on their top post, and that was for Gabriel Mazatine. So congratulations to him. And then one more key thing I wanted to point out is that there is now a Fast Academy school Facebook page. So hopeful to get some photos and stuff up on there very soon. So hopefully I'll have a little something to share next meeting about that. Any questions? Okay. Moving along, tech update. I would like to embarrass Josh for just a minute. I did receive an email from the band director at Torrington Middle School, basically giving his kudos to Josh. He helped out with the Dallas Brass concert. I think it was over the weekend and then on Monday. The message I got was, Josh did an amazing job. He took it upon himself to master the light. Within 24 hours, was able to perform multiple light cues, all while in touch with the stage manager backstage. His work truly elevated the performance and highlighted some of the amazing capabilities of the new auditorium. So, just wanted to give a shout out. And then in other tech news, a little while back we spoke about some of the cybersecurity projects that we were working on that we acquired through a grant. So the phishing training is coming down the pipe. So be on the lookout for that. If you happen to accidentally put something in one of those emails, you will be recommended for a training. Basically, we'll just, bring you through a little bit of the details of, what looks like what not to click, what happens if you do click, things of that sort. So that will be coming your way. I don't want to give too many details because I don't want to expose our little rogue system there, but just wanted to let you guys know that was coming. So yeah, that is my tech update. Do you need to move me along, or can I just?
Just right.
Okay. Device protection plan. So I know we're interested in numbers. So it looks like we collected about just under $1,300. Or 13,000. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Give me Jeff.
Sorry.
I got you, Jeff.
Just under
Those
13,000.
zero sheets.
Which is higher than we collected last year. Last year, we collected just over 10,000. And that, considering we reduced the rates a little bit for like cart devices and now being with Chromebooks instead, we still collected more and had more participation this year. So moving in the right direction. Obviously, we'd like to see those numbers a bit higher, but as the new policies and all that, I think that we're about to see it grow. Any questions?
Thank you.
Ellen?
Yeah, what's the percentage of participation?
Well, I have it broken down by school. Total, I have about 561 students participating
Out of 4,000,
out of 4,000.
so 12.5%.
Which is more than last year.
Which is more than last year. And, you know, you have to factor into that, most of our schools are in a cart model now, so they're not taking them home, they're not putting it in their backpack or locker, so some parents might not opt for insurance, but accidents do happen in the classroom, it falls off a desk, it, you know, gets elbowed, something of that sort, so.
So participation, what's the percentage of those who participated and paid and not paid? What's that percentage?
Only, this is only people who paid.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't make a payment, then you're not enrolled in the program. Okay. So all 561 people have paid their.
All the ones that participated in?
Yeah.
That's great. That's really great.
To pay for claims.
Kudos.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
Jeffrey?
Good, I'm quiet on this front.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome, by the way.
Why, because you took too long?
Excellent. All right, moving along. Topics for future meetings.
Solar.
Middle school roof. EMS. We gonna talk about solar? We have to, what are we gonna do?
We should have sure, that's,
So you gonna come back next month?
Yeah.
tell him he's coming back next month. Well, I don't think he necessarily has to show up, I mean,
He
we
can
should
send us the show.
send us a sharp pencil or we can,
All right,
Yeah.
solar offer.
I think to hit the deadlines, we have to move on this pretty good, because the city's got to approve
You
too.
know, we're all, our meeting's gonna be at, TMS cafeteria. Updates, your HVAC contract, that's going to the full board, so I'll leave those 3 items. Solar, project updates, and I guess we'll see if we have an update on the roof at that point. Rachel, I guess we can do your social media update, tech update, and drop off the device protection plan, since now we know that who's participated, maybe we'll throw that back on in 2 or 3 months, see how the damages are going.
Yeah.
When is the security awareness done? When's your period of time you're gonna hit everybody with?
Oh, it's
That's a
ongoing.
secret.
You can't talk.
No, I'm just asking when we can put on a future meeting, some kind of an update on
Oh,
how that panned itself out, because it's a good indicator of
yeah,
what you might need for support in other areas.
yeah, I mean, we could give it a
3
few,
months?
yeah, like 3 months maybe to let
3, 4
it
months.
acquire
Yeah.
some
See how many times
data.
you catch Superintendent Wilson as a repeat offender?
37.
The program's really cool. It even like makes the emails like education based, so it's enticing.
Actually, that would be our January meeting, so if you really send things out around the holiday time, those that are shopping, you give them things.
Yeah, let's put it on just,
Hopefully
set
not
'em up.
shopping on our accounts, but we'll see.
let's put it on January.
January meeting, we'll go back to the
We'll see what they collected.
Yeah, cybersecurity awareness.
That'll fall under you.
Sure.
Okay. We're done there, so let's do comments in repeat order. We'll start with Armand.
I'll say, good meeting.
Patrick.
Good, you all.
Mr. Wilson.
See you in a few minutes.
Ellen.
Great meeting.
Yeah.
Right. Great meeting.
Josh, your mom. Rachel.
Great.
Melissa. Josh. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Good.
6:53 p.m. Let's see why. Roll call, committees here. Back to that presentation. Okay, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with an addition, that we add an item for relocating the meetings to Torrington Middle School cafeteria.
6E.
What's that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
As-
Approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any public participation? None. All right. Right into monthly financials. Donna, you're on.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Everyone should have received the September 30th monthly financials. And I just had a few line items I wanted to point out for everyone. If you wanted to take a look at pages 8 and 9, you're going to notice in the line 100s for salaries, there was some amendments made, and we needed to do that in order to adjust the budget to the current configuration of the schools. The budget was based on the old configuration of the schools, so we needed to have the money aligned to where the actual staff were. So we had like over 350 staff move locations over the summer. And so we are making sure that the budget aligns to that. So pages 8 and 9, you'll see
Of the budget performance.
correct of your budget packet. So on the right corner,
Yeah.
bottom corner, you'll notice 9 for the salaries for the line 100s. You're going to see some amendments there. We just had to align the budget to the current configuration because, as you recall, the budget was proposed on the previous configuration of the school. So we just wanted to make sure that the funding was in the right location. So we're probably about 95% there. There might be about 5% still, a couple amendments that we have to make within the one line 100. So it's not like going from one line 100 category to 200, it's just within 100. Just aligning where staff are and where the money needs to be. So that was one situation. On page 8, you'll notice, so if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, page 8 of 15, line 5112.10, the technician, Mr. Putnam had pointed out that it looked like it was trending high, and he was indeed right. It was trending high because it was a staff that was assigned to that line that should have been elsewhere.
Okay.
So we had made that amendment. Page 10, for benefits, I just wanted to point out to everybody that in general, the benefits, if you look up on line like 5210.08 and then just go across, and then down below it looks like 2.5 million negative. I just want to point out that the insurance is going to run the same way the retirees insurance runs, where it looks like we're running in a deficit, but really it's because we're waiting for employee contributions monthly to catch that up. And also we have a couple grants that we're helping with some of the benefits that are just coming in. So that line, I just wanted to let everybody know, you'll traditionally see it looking like it's in the negative, but we're okay. And then on page 12, bottom right-hand corner, you'll see line 5530.05 licenses and warranties. That was a little bit over, and we do have savings in other areas and grant funding to offset that. And the same goes for the line right below it for OTL licensing. Those were just the items I wanted to point out.
So I have a question on those two.
Sure.
So, because fees went up,
We had some of the licenses that should have been allocated to grants at the time.
okay.
But the grants are just starting to roll in. The federal grants have just landed, so the Title I, Title II, Title III, the Alliance grant, that's a state grant. That one just was approved by the state. So we wanted to purchase these items, but we will have funding that will offset that overage. And that was all my updates, unless anybody has any other questions.
You guys wanna go further?
Jeff,
Is it my turn?
your turn.
On that very first line, Donna, the adjustments, the budget amendments,
Where are you?
on page 8, the very first 511101 administrator's salary,
Yep.
it's like 560,000. Are we reclassing those from other GB items, or are those coming back from grants as a shuffling of people?
Both. So other GD items that were actually overfunded, and so that amount was coming from those lines that were overfunded, and there are some that were in grants.
So these are people who we always had,
Correct.
they're just for clarity, they're being moved.
Yes.
That was number 1. Number 2, 513030, which is on page 9, it's OT wages clerical, it's still continuing its trend. I'm not sure if I know we've had a lot of, with all the various things, early school year, construction, and things with the transportation, obviously we have to have supervision for these kids when they're hanging out at a school 40 minutes longer than is originally intended. Where is that overtime coming? Is that?
That's exactly it.
Is it there? Do we have paras? I know there's no OT paras, so I'm assuming it's paras and administrators or
Yeah, so
clerical
it's,
folks.
yeah, it's a combination, you're exactly right. In the beginning when we were getting off the ground, some of the busing was a little later, so paras definitely were OT. Clerical, we've had so much movement that happened over the summer with the reconfiguration. So there was a lot of, and also onboarding of students coming in. So there was a lot of things that were, a lot of moving parts. So I expect that to trend down as the year goes on.
Okay. And so there is no spot for OT paras in our budget, right? I didn't see that in
No.
5130. So where do we carry that? Is that just thrown in the paraprofessionals?
It hits their line item, their salary, their regular salary line item.
Okay, then on page 11, 534010, the school resource officer. It shows 0 expenditure. Do they only bill us quarterly, or how do we?
Yeah, they bill us usually like in the middle of the year. I
Gotcha.
get another bill this end of the year.
Okay. And then the 541101 sewer. Do we pay that once a year or twice a year?
The sewer is twice a year, I'm pretty sure.
541101, because if it's twice a year, it looks like we're
Which,
going over.
which page are you on?
It's on page 11, right down, 6 lines down from the school resource officer.
Okay, sewer, 2 times a year, and you're saying because we had expensed one, just looking to see if it was encumbered.
No, it didn't show it was encumbered.
I'll have to look into that.
Okay. And I think, no, I think you covered my other ones.
Okay, I think we're okay now. We're good to continue. Yeah, we're good. Yep.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, I'm gonna take that. So, Superintendent Wilson had met with the food service director, and indeed, we are able to charge use and occupancy for the food services. So I just met with the director, and we set up a payment plan of $30,000 a month for electricity. So this will help offset some of our overages in the electricity that we have been incurring because of all the new building and also the other construction related to it. So that's pretty much the update.
Yeah, what was the total bill for the high school? That was like,
The monthly bill, or
it was, right, what is that? Like electricity?
130, I think we came in at, we were looking at for 1 month.
130,
Yeah,
1 month,
and
combined high school.
we were figuring 100, so that's everything included.
Well, there's your answer, there's 60, it's
Yeah.
almost half of that.
Exactly.
If we can get this on,
True.
for that much less.
If it's 130 a month.
No, it's 130 a month.
The
High school's
electricity, like, for the whole year, we budgeted for $1 million, but we're looking at going at probably.
What's actually the yearly cost for, or the monthly cost for the high school?
Oh, for the high school itself, I think it was about 60, I'll have to go on, but I think it's about 60,000 a month.
Oh, interesting. Okay, good. Thank you.
I'll look into it. Yeah. Yep.
Are we still okay, Jack?
Yep, we should be good.
Update on the audit?
I'm happy to report that the audit is complete as far as we know. There might be some follow-up paperwork that they look for, but we did get a good report saying that everything checks out. So that was wonderful to hear, and I have to do a shout out to our new accountant, who's a CPA, Devontae Zimmerman, who really just went to the mat on every single demand and turned it around on a dime. So that was spectacular. We had a lot of, there was a new edict, it was a GASB 101 that was requested that had a lot of data that was needed to be sort of scoured and then compiled and then delivered within a day's turnaround. He was able to do it. So we're very happy about that. So now we're just waiting until December for the final number and the final report.
Contracts.
Okay, so everybody got a copy of the contracts in the packet. And we're looking good. We don't have to go out to bid for anything really for a while in this section. The only thing I'll point out is the frontline education 3-year needs to be updated. We were just waiting for the renewal. So I will add that next time, and that would be another 3-year renewal.
We've already executed it, it's done?
Yes,
Okay. The YMCA.
everything's executed.
So the YMCA is actually the 2026.
Yes. Yep, I'll update that.
So we're good?
Move on to topics for future meetings, financials. Update on, oh, wait, the facilities.
We should be good.
Decided to have all their meetings at one place, and that one place being the TMS cafeteria. And since our meetings are right after, it's the pleasure of this committee to do the same.
Go to a different spot. Everyone get their
We're outnumbered, so we will have all the rest of our meetings at the middle school cafeteria. Okay, now.
That's another way to do it.
Could we, budget line transfers, because we might need to do.
So now we're on the top of future meetings, we'll do monthly financials and then budget line item transfers.
Right.
And anything else that would come along to impact the budget.
Yes, I probably, have the calendar for the next budget season as well, a draft of the calendar.
Okay.
For the timeline of
Okay.
the next budget season. Because if it's gonna be November.
Comments for the good of the order, please.
Great meeting.
It's an excellent meeting, the time here was way better than those guys.
Good team player, way to think of it. Yeah, the time I spent.
Wonderful meeting, thank you.
Thank you for sitting.
Good meeting, great job, Ellen.
I thought it was good. Motion to adjourn?
So move second.